But first, the imprisoned Iranian women's rights activist Narges Mohammadi has been awarded the Nobel Peace Prize 2023. She received that prize then in recognition for her tireless campaigning for women's rights, democracy and the abolition of the death penalty. Well, the 51-year-old has kept up her activism despite numerous arrests by Iranian authorities and spending years behind bars. Well, the chair of the Norwegian Nobel Committee has commended Mohammadi for her courage. Take a listen.
Her brave struggle has come with tremendous personal cost. Altogether, the regime has arrested her 13 times, convicted her 5 times, and sentenced her to a total of 31 years in prison and 154 lashes. Ms. Mohammadi is still in prison as I speak.
Well, let's stay with the story. We can speak to Tara Kangarlou, who's a global affairs journalist and the author of The Heartbeat of Iran. She joins us from Toronto. Thanks very much for speaking to France 24 today. Good to have you, Tara. You heard then from the chair of the Norwegian Nobel Committee commending the bravery of Narges Mohammadi. I just want to start, Tara, by getting a sense of your reaction to this nomination.
I think this was an incredible moment for all Iranians who know the struggles in Iran and also want to see that change come to 83 million people, of whom the majority categorically want to see freedom in all aspects of life and society. And Narges really is perhaps one of the bravest and most fearless of these freedom fighters. We can certainly talk more about her, but this woman has truly risked it all. She has not seen her children for many years. Last she saw her twins, it was 2015. And I don't think really there's any bigger sacrifice than giving up the opportunity to be with your children, your family, and spend most of your life behind bars because of your values, because of the principles that you fight for, because of your people, your country, and what you believe your people and your nation deserves. And that's precisely what she did and does, and I have no doubt that will continue to do.
I mean, Tara, as you say, a huge amount of bravery at play here. 13 arrests, not seeing her children, and a real decision to stay and, do her activism within Iran, because that's a choice which is very brave as well. Biden this evening, Tara, has come out and urged Iran to immediately release Narges Mohammadi. Do you think that this prize, that this kind of public attention on Iran today could help her release?
It's very interesting. Just before our interview, I was going through some Twitter feeds, and the Iranian foreign minister issued a statement and said that the biggest sort of peacemaker was Qasem Soleimani. And this is just so fascinating that, a government official immediately came and made such absurd statement at a time that really people of Iran are looking at women like Narges Mohammadi, people who see these figures, and there are many of them like Narges inside Iran, as heroes, as fighters, as change makers, as forces for change. And I also want to focus on one reality, that Narges, again, like you mentioned, stayed in Iran. So many people have left. And I think the more the world focuses on these real change makers and forces for change inside Iran, that's where and when we can see change in both short term and long term, and that matters. People in Iran are incredibly capable, relentless, and there's so many fearless activists, thinkers, intellectuals, fighters, change makers there that deserve the attention and deserve the support. And Narges is of them. And she spent many years bringing awareness, of course, to the needs of the society, fighting for change and freedom, but also being the voice of so many who have been oppressed and have spent time in prison.
Well, speaking of those who've been oppressed, of course, Mahsa Amini was one of the figures that drew attention to Iran, those mass protests that saw Iranians on the streets, fighting for what they would like to see to be the change in the country. Do you think that Iran will experience protests like that again? Because they've been more sporadic than they were initially.
I think the shape of the protest has changed. I think what's going on in the Iranian society can never go back to September 15, September 14, just days before Mahsa Amini's killing and before the waves of protesters that we saw. I think the Iranian regime has been unmasked, and really the protests that we've seen over the last years and the daily acts of civil disobedience in Iran at the behest of young people are really a reflection of how frustrated they are with this regime, and their desire for change is not going to subside, even though we might not see hundreds of people on the street. But this desire exists. It has been further ignited, and it will only continue. And one thing, if I may just add, is that Narges's win and recognition for her work is once again a reminder of the legitimization of the Iranian regime on the international scale. Again, another reminder. And of course, I'm sure your viewers and you and your colleagues are following the plight of Army Tagerland, another 16-year-old, another young Iranian girl who's right now in the hospital, in many ways believed to have experienced an event such as Mahsa Amini and have been assaulted. Again, we've yet to see what has happened, but evidence shows that she too perhaps may share the same plight as Mahsa Amini. Hopefully she will survive. But again, the fight continues, and the regime goes out of its way to choke whatever fight people put forth. But again, Iranian people inside Iran are not stopping.
All right, Tara, talking to us today about that win, that Nobel Peace Prize 2023 awarded to Narges Mohammadi, and of course other activism in Iran. Thanks for sharing your thoughts with us today. Thanks very much.
Thank you.